Visual. Oh, it is. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Placer County Board of Supervisors meeting Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. We will begin with a flag salute led by Acting County Executive Officer Daniel Chapney.
Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now move to the consent agenda. Any items on the consent agenda board members want to pull? I would like to pull item number 9. Anyone in the audience want to pull anything from the consent agenda? Alrighty. Is there anyone online?
I see none, Chair. For clarity, you're pulling item 9A. Are you also pulling item 9B?
Let me just check my. Yeah, 9A. Okay, seeing no public comment, is there a motion? Yeah, pardon?
I will move approval of the consent agenda as amended.
I'll second. Oh, sorry.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Gore, second by Supervisor Landon. This is a roll call vote.
Gore?
Aye.
Landon?
Yes.
Supervisor Jones absent. Gustafson? Aye. Holmes?
Aye. Now we'll take up item 9A. My concern on this is I'm still unhappy about how this came forward, so I can't support the issue with the Chief of Staff getting a 15% raise. So I'm going to vote no on that. That's my comment. Any other comments from board members?
I think I appreciate that, Chair Holmes. My only comment is, again, I'm supporting it based on not having had a salary increase in this department since 2007. Thanks.
Anyone from the public wish to address this item? Anyone online? No, I see. Okay, then the public comment is closed. And
I'll move approval.
And I'll second.
motion by Supervisor Gustafson, second by Supervisor Gore. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? The item is moved. Thank you. Now we'll move to public comment. Persons may address the board on items not on this agenda. Please limit comments to 3 minutes per person, since the time allocated for public comment is 15 minutes. If all comments cannot be heard within the 15-minute time limit, the public comment period will be taken up at the end of the regular session. The board is not permitted to take any action on items addressed under public comment. Good morning, Jennifer.
Placer County. Just start with my quote from George Cantor. A false conclusion, once arrived at and widely accepted, is not easily dislodged, and the less it is understood, the more tenaciously it is held. So some more interesting news about the shot that's been continually advertised, the vaccine for COVID. In countries where they've had 4 boosters, people ages, I think, 18 to 39 have a 256% more likelihood of early death. There's also a new cancer that people are starting to talk about, calling it an aggressive cancer. So people are appearing with cancer at stage 3 and stage 4 in between their year to year. So if you go for a yearly annual checkup, you may end up in a stage 3 or stage 4 cancer versus maybe it being in an earlier stage because this new type of cancer is so aggressive. I really think with all the information that's out there, we should have some kind of a pros and cons maybe on our website that talks about myocarditis, blood clots, and other things. to the public, because unfortunately, a lot of the information that seems to be coming through isn't reporting both sides. And I think to be fair and objective and to actually protect our citizens, we should be putting some kind of, maybe not even a warning label, but just pros and cons of this shot for different ages and outcomes that we've seen happening in other countries, so we can protect our citizens and the health, because this will also create a cascade into our health system of overloading cancer treatments and all kinds of other things that may happen, increase dependencies on pharmaceutical drugs. I can't remember, it's Moderna, I think it's Moderna, but they, after this myocarditis came out, they bought a company that manufactures heart medications, so they created the problem, now they're creating the solution. And we're just giving money away, we're giving our health away, and when we're sick, we give our freedom away. And I think we need to do better for our citizens here in this county. Also, as we continue to update our countywide plan, electrical cars, I think, are now costing $17 a gallon to fill up. A lot of the charging stations are being run by diesel, and Ford's losing like $37,000 a car when they manufacture them, so they're taking a step back. What will we do in California when we can't have gas cars? Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Annette Tomlin. We are one nation under God, and I guess I'm here in reference to the, justice for all. Homelessness. Something about it that I don't appreciate, and that is the fact that it's actually become a crime, literally criminalized, to be without a home. Leading the people to fail so you can continue to project your inadequacies upon us is not the way to go about it. Thinking that we're all the same would be a huge mistake. It's come to the point where your whole community is experiencing what we do. And if not someone, then someone they know, someone in their family. Let's concentrate on getting the drugs off the street that are killing our youth. I think that's very important. Not only our youth, but others. I'd like to speak about mental illness and the fact that this is no joke. Not at all. Should be treated no differently than any other illness. I'd like the county to take a look at teaming up with Sutter to create a comprehensible facility to assist people who are out there living with mental illness, who continue being out on the streets because they can't get stabilized on any type of medication or reach out and get the help that they need to move forward in a positive way. I spoke about your programs failing. Not our fault again. These programs were not monitored, but yet it became our fault. I'd like to give Granite Wellness, Prop 47, and the action team some credit here in the way that they have the right idea. They lead individuals from the beginning to the end. And what this does is this helps make success a true possibility for these people. The people know they're being heard by them. They know that if they reach out, that they will receive this help and they feel safe. What a person can do when they feel safe, I can't even begin to tell you. Well, wait a minute. Yes, I can, because here I am standing here. All right. What good does it do any shelter when the shelter is not allowed to treat people with dignity or respect, and or to give them their needs, in the way of just plain, human needs, warmth, showers, food, things along those lines. Okay? What a shame. What this reminds me of is the Do-It Center. Let's go back to how this all came into fruition. It was here to assist people. I believe there was interim shelters set up within this area. Are we going that far back? No, let's not do that. Not necessary. We're in a different time. There's no reason for people to be treated like that again. The person watching us take this abuse is just as bad as, you know what? Let me restate this. the person watching us take the abuse is just as bad as the person themselves continuing to dish it out to us. So what it comes down to is, once again, love, mercy, and humanity. And I thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the public wish to address the board under public comment? I see none. Is there anyone online? All righty. Then I will close public comment and move to board member reports. Any board member reports? I see none. Any reports from the county executive officer? No report. Thank you. Excuse me. Well, we're a little bit ahead of time, so we don't have a department item, do we? What? Oh, 4A. Oh, there it is, yeah. Glad you're here. This is agricultural parts and natural resources. Andy Fisher. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Andy Fisher, your Parks Administrator. This item before you this morning is to introduce and waive oral reading of an ordinance to amend Placer County Code, Chapter 12, Article 12.24, regarding changes to camping at the Bear River Fishing Access property in Colfax. Secondly, to adopt a resolution renaming the designated public recreation area located at 2500 Campground Road in Colfax from the formerly Bear River Campground to Bear River Fishing Access, and designating the property as a non-county owned managed public recreation area. And finally, number 3, determine that the proposed actions are not projects pursuant to CEQA environmental guidelines. In short, the action before you today, the purpose of this action is to make our public recreation ordinance consistent with our current memorandum of understanding that we have with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, who owns the property. Placer County has had a management role in that property since the 1960s. Just about a year ago, on November 22nd of 2022, your board authorized us to enter into a new agreement with the state. That agreement restricted some of the management role that we had on the property from full management responsibility to what we're doing today, which is daily maintenance and ranger patrol. And there is today allowed daily public use of the property, but not camping. And so the purpose of this ordinance is to make our public recreation area consistent, our ordinance consistent with the no camping provisions that we have there today. The current memorandum of understanding will expire. It's a 2-year agreement. It was executed by the state in February of last year, so it would likely expire February of 2025. The state has not determined what their long-range management plans are for the property, so this could all change again. We expect there will be a public process when they do make that determination, and we'll be ready to help them with that. Some of the elements of the changes within our public recreation ordinance, as I mentioned, just deal with camping. It eliminates the provision for camping, and then some of the things that addressed camping, like the number of cars allowed, numbers of dogs allowed, quiet hours for campers, things like that are just no longer applicable. And then secondly, at the request of the state, they requested that we rename the property from Bear River Campground to Bear River Fishing Access. The state did review, Department of Fish and Wildlife did review the provisions in the changes in the ordinance that are before you today, and they have approved of those. And we also presented this item to the Weimar Applegate Colfax MAC on November 15th of this year, and it was received positively by the MAC. So with that, I will turn it back to your board for any questions.
All righty. Any questions, comments from board members? Supervisor Gustafson.
I just wanted to thank Andy and the staff for working so closely with the community, with CDWF and, is that right, CDFW? I can't get the acronyms right. To make this happen and to hear the community's concerns about some of the behaviors that were occurring at the campground that we just couldn't deal with and move forward in a way that we provide increased public access and protection for the community. So, thank you.
I'd like to thank the state as well for stepping up in their vegetation management role.
Yep.
The clearing down there has taken a step up and a ramp up too. So all parties, all partners are stepping up down there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any other comments from the board? I see none. Is there anyone in the audience wish to address the board on this item? Is there anyone online? All right, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board for action.
I'll move approval.
And I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Gustafson, second by Supervisor Gore. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item is moved. Thank you, Andy. Now we'll move to item 5, Facilities Management, Veteran Services Lobby, and Office Tenant Improvement Project. Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Shauna Howard, Project Manager with Facilities Management, and with me is Veteran Services Officer Steve Johnson. The item before you this morning is the Veteran Services Tenant Improvement Project Job Order Authorization. We're requesting the following 3 action items. First, authorize the Director of Facilities Management or designee to execute a job order authorization with Staples Construction Company Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $594,822.70 for the Veteran Services Lobby and Office Tenant Improvement Project, and to authorize needed change orders not to exceed $42,241.14, consistent with the Public Contract Code as project funding allows. 2, approve a budget amendment to increase appropriations in the general fund contribution to facilities and infrastructure and cancel general fund capital reserves in the amount of $567,389 and increase appropriations in facilities capital projects, Veteran Services Lobby and Office Tenant Improvement Project by $610,323, offset by a contribution from the general fund of $567,389 and prior year fund balance of $42,934. 3, determine the requested actions are exempt from CEQA. A little background on this project. On November 9th, 2021, the board awarded a job order contract to Staples in the amount not to exceed $1,500,000. The board also authorized the Director of Facilities Management to execute individual job orders up to $250,000 for funded projects. Job orders exceeding this amount require board approval, which is the case for this project. On May 15th, 2022, the Procurement Purchasing Manager issued a task order to HGA for architectural and engineering services for the remodel of the VSO at 1000 Sunset Boulevard in Rockland. The VSO interior improvements are needed to accommodate current and future staff needs and provide enhanced veteran services. The remodel includes enlargement of the lobby, installation of a kiosk workstation for public use, construction of an accessible transaction counter, converting a conference room into an office for the Veteran Services Officer, and modifying 2 existing offices to provide a second exit for security purposes. The work also includes security system upgrades and a monitor for digital lobby displays. A lighted flagpole will be installed outside of the building and in close proximity to the VSO. Code-required accessibility improvements include new paving and striping of accessible parking stalls, new curb ramps, new accessible walkway, signage, and modified landscaping impacted by this work. The project's construction documents were completed by HGA and provided to Staples for pricing. Staff has reviewed the quantities used as a basis for the estimate and determined the proposal to be complete and responsive. To proceed with the Veteran Services Lobby Office Tenant Improvement Project, it is requested the board award the job order to Staples in the amount of $594,822.70 pursuant to the County Purchasing Policy Manual. The actions requested of the board today and the Veteran Services Lobby and Office Tenant Improvement Project are categorically exempt from CEQA. The fiscal impact is based on the construction proposal from Staples, design and engineering fees from HGA, county project management fees and contingencies. The total estimated project cost of the Veteran Services Lobby and Tenant Improvement Project is $1,062,639. As a multi-year project, some expenses for the project have already been incurred in the prior and current fiscal years. The budget increase is required to provide sufficient expenditure authority for the remainder of the project at the revised estimated cost of $610,323. A fiscal year 2023-24 budget amendment to increase appropriations by $610,323 in facilities capital projects offset by a contribution from the general fund of $567,389, and a use of existing project balance of $42,934 is included for the board's consideration and approval. To facilitate this transfer, the budget amendment also provides for an increase in general fund contribution to facilities and infrastructure in the amount of $567,389 with corresponding cancellation of general fund capital reserves. This concludes my presentation, and Steve and I are available for any questions you may have on this project.
Thank you, Shauna. Any questions, comments from board members?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please. Supervisor Gore.
Thank you, Shauna, appreciate that. Just a couple of questions for clarification, but before that, so how long have they been at the Sunset location? How many years?
I don't have the exact, but I believe they were one of the first suites. I'm deferring to my manager.
Yeah, that doesn't help me. 15 years?
I
How long have
think
we
it
had the
was-
building?
Oh, yeah.
Less than 10. Right, but it sounds like there's some external upgrades, ramp, wheelchair accessibility or ADA accessibility, correct?
ADA accessibility, yes, with the parking stalls and ramps.
Great. Now, as I'm reading this, and sorry, I just wasn't really clear, it looks like originally $1.5 million was allocated. And if I'm reading this correctly, you're coming under budget. Is that correct?
So it's with our jock contractor. So we do an annual contract with them. So their max annual contract for the year when their contract starts is 1.5 million for total. So this is actually a specific project amount that's over our delegated authority.
Okay, so how much what's the total cost for the project?
The total project cost
Yes.
is the $1,062,639.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes.
Any other comments from board members? I see none. Is there anyone in the audience, excuse me, wish to address the board on this item? Anyone online? The chair will entertain a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Gore, second by Supervisor Landon. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Landon,
Yes.
Supervisor Jones absent, Gustafson,
Aye.
Gore,
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye. The question, the item is moved. Thank you, Shauna. Now we'll move to item 5B, Kings Beach Center, Fourth Amendment to Purchase and Sale Agreement.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
On items 5B and 6A, I need to recuse. My husband has been the engineer of record for this project since
Okay.
2 owners previous, I believe. So he's been
Okay.
involved in this
right.
property for a very long time. Thank you.
Okay. So that's 5B and 6A. All right. Okay.
Good morning, Eric Finley. I'm the Real Estate Services Manager for the Department of Facilities Management. And I'm here today requesting your board approve a Fourth Amendment to the existing purchase and sale agreement for the Kings Beach Center. On May 15th, 2018, a purchase and sale agreement was executed for the 3.5-acre Kings Beach Center in Kings Beach. It's county-owned property. On October 20th, 2022, that purchase and sale agreement was assigned to KB Kings Beach LLC, the current buyer of the Kings Beach Center, led by the Kingsbarn Group. The buyer has informed staff that it is pursuing a mixed-use development project that includes hotel, residential, and commercial. And staff is aware that the buyer is working diligently with the Placer County Planning Department as well as the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency on working on site studies and refining proposed project descriptions for agency review. So additional time is needed to pursue those project approvals. The action we're requesting or recommending is that the Fourth Amendment extending the term until March 31st, 2026, with 2 one-year options to extend beyond that. And with this extension, there are embedded milestones that the buyer needs to meet to continue to extend the purchase and sale agreement. So they need to submit a stable project description by February 21st of 2024. They need to develop and fund an environmental scope of work and a 4-way environmental agreement for environmental review by July 31st, 2024, next summer. And they need to complete a CEQA EIR EIS submittal or ready for county review by March 31st, 2026. So with that, I'm going to read the specific action requested. Please approve a Fourth Amendment to the purchase and sale agreement for the sale of the 3.5 acre Kings Beach Center, 16 improved parcels located on North Lake Boulevard and Salmon Avenue in Kings Beach, California, the Kings Beach Center, to KB Kings Beach LLC, extending the project approval contingency period for 2 additional years with 2 one-year options to extend, and authorize the Director of Facilities Management or designee to execute and administer the Fourth Amendment, subject to County Council and Risk Management concurrence. And secondly, to determine the requested action is not a project pursuant to California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA guidelines, section 15378. And there is no additional fiscal impact to this project. With that, I am happy to answer any questions you may have. The buyer, Phil Maynard, is on his way here, but may not make this item. Hopefully he might make a future successor agency item, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. All right. Any questions for Mr. Finley? I see none. Is there anyone in the audience wish to address this item? Is there anyone online?
Andrew, please unmute your mic and give your comments.
Sure. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hey, everybody. This is Andrew Ryan from Kings Beach. I just found out this agenda item was on and literally logged in minutes ago, so I'm happy to be able to make a comment. I think the only board member that is present that was here when this was originally awarded to Craig Clark was Supervisor Holmes. I think everybody else is new. So a little bit of backstory is there was a request for proposals or a request for qualifications process that happened in 2016 and 2017, and a number of submittals were made to the county. I think there was 5 respondents. The county did not award with any of those entities at that time, and stated they would go back out to another RFP. And then between the second RFP coming out, they found Craig Clark, who is actually, I think the developer's still in contract, not Phil from King's Barn. And the county moved unilaterally to place this developer in the driver's seat for both this property and your next item, the Eastern Gateway. And it's been 6 years with just no progress. There's really been no progress. They haven't built a momentum or engaged the community adequately. I think it's time to start anew on this, and extending this for another 2 years plus another additional years just doesn't seem to be the right move. I would ask that the board not make this action today, really review this. And since most of the supervisors are new, I think there's a chance for discovery here to understand what you'd be continuing. But 6 years with no process really doesn't make sense for Kings Beach. It's been holding us back. This is the biggest piece in our town, and it's important to us. So I think it's time to move on from this and not extend it, and do this the right way with the right process. And I wish I had more time to connect my thoughts, but this is my last moment chance to do it. So I appreciate your time and your consideration. Thank you, Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Anyone else online?
Yes, Chairman. Ellie, please go ahead and unmute your mic and give your comments.
Good morning, Ellie Waller. I want to thank Andrew Ryan. I also have just looked at this last minute, been working on the Tahoe Basin Area Plan. I agree with everything that Andrew just brought forward. This is yet another project of many that we don't need to bring up today that needs to be revisited. How many extensions and how many excuses for extension should continue? We need to look at a broader based approach to extension approvals in general. It's my belief that you should not make decisions today, as Andrew stated, on either item. this does require a lot more research, and the new people should come up to Kings Beach, walk around with the community, hear from the community members that they want a project. They want projects put on the ground as much as you board members do. I would appreciate that you don't vote on these two items today as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further comments, Chairman.
No, okay, I'll close, excuse me, I'll close public comment, and Supervisor Landon has a comment?
Yeah, just a quick question. Obviously there are the 4 milestones that are mentioned in the staff report moving forward. In the past, have there been milestones set, or is this the first time that we've had?
This is the first time that we've embedded milestones. In the past, it's just been time, and there's extension of time and then options to extend beyond that. So this is the first time that we've embedded milestones to keep that project moving forward. I will state that the Kings Barn Group under, Phil Maynard's leadership is under contract to purchase this property. It was assigned in October of 2022, and the county acknowledged that assignment. And so they are under contract. And so they've been actively working on the project, and they are submitting a stable project description by February of 2024 under the terms of this agreement. So they are moving forward.
Great, thanks. I don't have any other questions, but I'm very comfortable knowing that they have certain milestones that they need to meet, and hopefully that will help move things along. And so with that, I'm happy to make a motion.
I would like to.
Sorry.
Supervisor Gordon, yes.
No, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. And appreciate, I appreciate Mr. Ryan's comments about this just taking so long, right? But boy, have we learned that it takes so long to build anything in the Tahoe Basin. It's very challenging. And the fact that we have somebody willing to continue working on these projects to finally get something to the finish line, I really appreciate. And, we did have COVID years that really stopped a lot of the work happening there. But so I'm appreciative that this project is actually moving forward. And a question for you, Eric, with an EIR going out, a project, more of a description by 2024, is there more opportunity for the public to engage with the developer?
Yeah, absolutely. And you got some.
Well, let me just add to that. So Stephanie Holloway, your deputy CEO up in the Tahoe region. Just to answer Supervisor Gore, your question, yeah, we are getting ready to enter, the environmental processing and permitting stage. So a lot of work has been done on these projects, and you can only appreciate how the work that takes to sort of get to the start line of environmental processing and entitlement. So we had hoped that Phil Mader and the Kings Barn team would be here to give you some of that detail to reassure you that they are making progress. County staff sees that on a regular basis. And so we are comfortable with this extension, recommending that to you today to start moving forward. So we are getting ready, and Crystal Jacobson's here if you have any questions about that process moving forward. But the NOP, we anticipate coming out and then starting sort of that active process with the community. I think you heard from Ms. Waller, there's concerns that there hasn't been due process. We are getting ready to really work through that process through the environmental phase and permitting. So I just wanted to reassure you that there has been a lot of work. Sometimes we don't always see that publicly, but there's been a lot of work behind the scenes on this project.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I absolutely agree. We need to hear from the community in these projects. But that being said, it has taken a lot of time just to get to this. And the reason for the extension is so that the developer, the applicant, can continue to move the work forward.
That's correct.
So with that, well then, I will second Supervisor Landon's motion.
Okay, okay, motion by Supervisor Landon, second by Supervisor Gore. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? The item is moved. Now, my question is, we have the next item, the successor agency item. Do you feel comfortable moving forward, or shall we wait and take up another item?
It would be my preference if we could wait, if that works with the board. Only because I believe Phil Maynard will be here by 10 o'clock. That was their targeted goal. And then the buyer would be able to answer questions of the successor agency board during that time if need be.
So you're going to hang around?
So I'm going to hang out here if that's okay with you and okay with Megan.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Now we'll, excuse me, now we'll move to our 9:30 timed item. This is County Executive Officer, Inmate Medical Services, California Forensic Medical Group Incorporated, presented by Amanda Flaw. Flo.
Good morning.
Morning.
Chair Holmes, members of your board, Ms. Schwab, Mr. Chatney. I am Amanda Flo, Management Analyst from the County Executive Office. I am joined today here with Assistant Sheriff Dave Powers and Captain Nelson Resendez. We are here today to ask for your approval of 2 agreements with California Forensic Medical Group, also known as CFMG. One is for inmate medical services and the other is for jail-based competency treatment, also known as JBCT services. Under the 8th Amendment to the Constitution, inmate medical services shall be provided within Placer County jails as well as our juvenile detention facility. These services have been provided in Placer County through a contract model and include primary medical care, dental care, pharmaceuticals, mental health services, acute hospital care, specialty care, and they serve currently a monthly average population of approximately 800 inmates in juvenile wards. California Forensic Medical Group, CFMG, as I previously mentioned, has been providing the inmate healthcare services within our county for well over 20 years. In July of 2020, CFMG also began providing our 15-bed felony JBCT services. JBCT is a specialized treatment program for patients who have been deemed incompetent to stand trial, IST, by the courts and is designed to provide care, treatment, and services to assist patients in achieving competency. The most recent contract for both of these expired this past June. The progress for negotiating renewal contracts with CFMG took longer than anticipated, and on July 19th, 2023, your board approved an extension, and then we came back again for another extension to get us through the rest of the year. CFMG representatives and staff from the Sheriff's Office, the County Executive Office, and County Council met for final contract negotiations in October. These conversations resulted in an agreement to enter into a 2.5-year renewal for inmate medical services in the total amount of $32 million, which is a 30% increase over the prior year's annual amount, and an addition of approximately 15 full-time equivalents. The increase in contract amount was due in part to the additional staff requested, right-sizing of salaries and benefits to improve recruitment and retention issues, changes in legislation, increased need for mental health services for both adults and juveniles, and a higher average daily population in both the Auburn Jail and the South Placer Jail. Additionally, the increase in frontline staff positions were needed to safely care for growing inmate population and to ensure an adequate workforce to meet and sustain the comprehensive requirements for NCCHC accreditation. The negotiations also resulted in a 1-year renewal for JBCT services in the amount of $1,532,125.48. Your board approved a contract with the Department of State Hospitals on July 25th, 2023, that fully reimburses the county for the cost of providing these JBCT services. There's one point of clarification I would like to make in the JBCT contract on the sample invoice in Exhibit B1. The per diem rate is listed at $591.69. However, it in actuality is $249.61. It's an example in the contract, but I just wanted to read it for the record. Again, to reiterate our actions, we are requesting approval of an agreement with California Forensic Medical Group to provide inmate medical services in the amount of $32 million from January 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2026, subject to increases described in Exhibit B of the contract. We are also requesting to ratify an agreement with California Forensic Medical Group to provide jail-based competency treatment services in the amount of $1,532,125.48 from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. This concludes our presentation for today, but we are available with any questions.
All righty, thank you, Amanda. Supervisor Gore. Yeah, it's backwards, so.
Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate it, and I'm glad we're at this point. So that's good news. So thank you to the team who worked hard to get this contract negotiated. Just a point of clarification, with it increasing 30%, the contract, that's primarily labor costs, and then there's some additional staffing, is that correct?
Correct. It's an equivalent of 10 positions, but it's not, it's like some hours for one position, some hours for another position. So we're trying to increase, especially mental health services, to span over multiple days. On the weekends, increase mental health services in juvenile hall. So while we may have had a 0.5 FTE, now we have a full FTE. So a lot of the positions, because it is a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week operation in 3 different facilities, we're trying to maximize the staff that we have, but spreading them out a little bit differently. So while it is 10 FTEs, it's a lot more services.
So it's 10 additional FTEs?
Equivalent, yes.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Supervisor Landon.
No questions, just a comment. Just wanted to say thank you to you and to everyone who was involved in the negotiations. It sounds like it was a long, challenging process. So I'm glad you came to resolution, and thank you for your great work.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other comments from board members, is there anyone in the public wish to address this item? Anyone online?
No, Chairman.
Okay. So that concludes your
Sure does.
presentation. All righty, then the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Okay. Motion by,
Second.
motion by Supervisor Landon, second by Supervisor Gore. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, the item is moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move to our 9:40 a.m. timed item. This is Public Works Sewer Maintenance District 1 Emergency Storage Liner Project. Robin Mahoney.
Good morning, Chair Holmes, members of the board, council, CEO. Rob Mahoney, Department of Public Works Program Manager. Today, we're requesting your board approve the plans and specifications for the Sewer Maintenance District 1 Emergency Storage Liner Project with an estimated construction cost of $750,000 and authorize the Director of Public Works or designee to advertise for construction bids. And 2, determine the proposed action is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15301B and F. For background on this item, the existing Sewer Maintenance District 1 or SMD1 regional pump station located on Jurger Road in North Auburn was constructed with an unlined emergency storage basin. In order to prevent the potential for contact of untreated wastewater with groundwater, staff recommends lining the basin. Staff coordinated with procurement and requested proposals from consulting firms on a county pre-qualified list to prepare design for the liner system and received 1 proposal from Coleman Engineering. Staff evaluated that proposal and recommended an agreement, the agreement execution with Coleman. Procurement executed that contract for the design. Coleman Engineering prepared the plans and specifications that are available at Clerk of the Board for your review for this item. In order to proceed, staff recommends that your board approve the project plans and specifications and authorize the Director of Public Works or designee to advertise for construction bids. It is worth noting that this project is funded by a combination of local Sewer Maintenance District Number 1 funds and American Rescue Plan Act funding. The split on that is approximately $400,000 from SMD1 and approximately $350,000 from ARPA. Pending approval of these actions by your board, staff anticipates advertising within the next couple months and returning to your board to award the resulting construction contract this spring and constructing the project this summer during dry weather. So it's available by this next fall. With that, I'll take any questions you may have.
Is proposed action exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15301 B and F? Yes, it is. The answer is yes.
That's correct.
I didn't hear you read that in the record, sorry. All righty. Any questions, comments from board members? Supervisor Gustafson.
I just, Robin, thank you for bringing this forward. How long does a lining like this last? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it should be on the order of 30 plus years, 30 to 50. I'm not 100% sure. I could get back to you on that if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd just be interested. I'm not as familiar with exterior
In most cases, we
facilities.
try to do improvements that last at least 30 years.
Yeah.
I know concrete has a life of 50 typically, but yeah, I would venture to say at least 30 years.
Great, thank
We're
you.
going to hold you to that.
Okay, I'll come back and make sure.
Okay.
Supervisor Gore.
Thank you, Robin. Why was there not a liner installed originally when the project was built? Or how old is it? And give me some background if you would.
Yeah, so this particular site was a former wastewater treatment plant for North Auburn. And when we regionalized, when the county kind of got out of the business of treating wastewater and going regional, we converted that site from a treatment plant to a pump station in approximately 2016. 2015 was the construction, and I believe right around 2016 we started sending the sewer flow to the city of Lincoln for treatment. At that time, we constructed that pump station. There are actually two emergency storage basins there. One of them was lined, one of them was not lined. I'm going to have to get back to you on why one was and why one wasn't. I don't know the answer right now off the top of my head, but I will get back to you on that.
All right, that's fine, thank you. So I know that the SMD1 ratepayers pay a high amount to utilize those services. So we are helping make sure, and we're using these ARPA dollars, actually about half of it, right? So that is less of an impact on those ratepayers.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for acknowledging that, Supervisor. Any other comments from board members? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience wish to address this item? Seeing none, is there anyone online?
No, Chairman.
All righty, the chair will bring it back for action.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Gustafson, second by Supervisor Gore. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, the item is moved. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
So now,
Great.
our next timed item is 10:25, so the board will adjourn to closed session. Oh, is he here?
If you want, if you'd like.
Is he here?
He's not here. One of them is 10 minutes away, but we can either go ahead if you'd like, or I can take
You say he's 10 minutes away? Oh, we'll go into closed session, so.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
All right, thanks.
The board will now adjourn to closed session, consider conference public employee performance evaluation.
What?
Your badge, we'll see.
Oh, Anne was working on it too.
The board is just returned from closed session, and the county council will report out.
The board met in closed session to conduct a public employee performance evaluation for county council. That concludes the report out of that particular item.
All right, thank you. And now we're going to take up the successor agency. So Supervisor Gustafson, I think.
Yes, I'm recusing on this item as, oh,
We need to adjourn this.
The board will adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and reconvene as the successor agency.
okay. And now I will recuse myself from this item as well and leave the room. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All righty. Got all the players here? All right, let's move forward.
Thank you. Department of Facilities Management, here representing the successor agency.
All right.
So we're here today to ask for the successor agency board's approval of a second amendment to the existing purchase and sale agreement for the Eastern Gateway property in Kings Beach. The buyer entered into a purchase and sale agreement on March 11th of 2019. And in October 31st of 2022, that purchase and sale agreement with the successor agency was assigned to KB Kings Beach LLC, the buyer and developer of the project. The developer of the project would like to combine the Eastern Gateway property project into the project, the 39 North project proposed for the Kings Beach Center. So, and specifically what they're looking to do on the Eastern Gateway property is to develop workforce housing that would be a component of the project. And I believe that the number is not specific, but they're looking at approximately 78 residential units on the Eastern Gateway property. So with that, I'm going to read the action that's requested. We're requesting that your board approve the second amendment to the purchase and sale agreement for the sale of the 1.3 acre Eastern Gateway property located at the southwest corner of the intersection of North Lake Boulevard and Chipmunk Street in Kings Beach, California, Eastern Gateway property, to KB Kings Beach LLC, extending the project approval contingency period to March 31st, 2026, with 2 additional options to extend for 1 year each, and authorize the Placer County Successor Agency Officer or designee to execute and administer the Second Amendment. This would be subject to County Council and Risk Management concurrence, and it would be contingent, the execution of the Second Amendment would be contingent upon approval of the Placer County Consolidated Oversight Board. So additional board after your board. And also determine that the requested action is not a project pursuant to California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA guidelines, section 15378. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And Phil Maynard of Kings Barn is in the audience and also able to address any buyer questions you might have.
Okay, excuse me, thank you. Any comments, questions from board members? I see none. So if Mr.
Maynard, Phil Maynard?
Yeah, if he wants to come
You want to
forward.
come and just say a couple words or answer?
Yeah,
Good morning, Honorable Board. I'm Phil Mader. I am the President of Kings Barn Capital and Development, and we are the applicant for this project. And we are proposing 76 workforce rental apartments. And we've gone through several different designs to come up with a mix of studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. And this would be one component of our larger Kings Beach Center project. And pleased to answer any questions that the board may have. We're delighted to be having this as a component of our overall project. In many of my meetings in the basin with business owners and people of the public, one thing comes through very, very strong over and over and over is there's a lack of workforce housing. So this will go a really long ways for providing 76 workforce housing apartments for people that live and work in the basin.
Alrighty, any questions from board members on this item?
May I
Oh, sure.
just quickly, thank you very much, Mr. Mader. Appreciate you being here and really appreciate the opportunity to actually have some workforce housing built in Kings Beach. That's really important and excellent. Our community needs workforce housing. What do you anticipate the timeline to be on this project?
So the timeline is, this is one of the 3 components of our overall project. At Kings Beach Center, we're proposing a hotel, for sale townhomes, and then with this would be the workforce housing. So this would start at the same time as the hotel and the townhomes.
So it'll be done in conjunction. If somebody's laying foundation, they're going to do both projects at the same time type.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Simultaneously.
Sort of leverage the workforce that you've got there
Absolutely.
at the same time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no more board questions from the board, does anyone in the audience wish to address this item? Mr. Nader.
Wayne Nader, as you know, I'm a very strong advocate of workforce housing, affordable housing, particularly in the Tahoe area. It is really deficient up there. We all know that. And these projects are very hard to bring forward in the community. You have the NIMBY issue, obviously, but you also have the financial part of that. That is really hard to make that pencil. So I am grateful to them to put forward a project of this size that can have a real impact in that community up there. Again, these are very hard to come by. It would be something similar to what we have in Mercy Housing, about the same size of that. But I think it fits in that area because there's already some dense housing in that particular area, so it makes some sense for it to be in that location. So again, I'm grateful to see this project move forward, so I just wanted to pass along my thanks to the developer for doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Nader. Is there anyone online that wishes to address them?
Yes, Chairman. Nick, go ahead and unmute your mic and give your comments.
Okay, yeah, hi, this is Nick. I'm a resident of Kings Beach, and I'm optimistic the Eastern Gateway property can become a shining example of successful workforce development here in the basin. But this potential remains unrealized. The property is sat vacant for way too long with nothing happening. The developer has not really effectively engaged with our community, and they've provided no clear timeline, leaving us feeling overlooked and undervalued. We're facing a pressing need, as we all know, for affordable housing here, but we don't see any tangible progress on that property. So I'm strongly encouraging the Placer County and the Board of Supervisors to take decisive action instead of extending a project that appears to be going nowhere. If the current developer cannot demonstrate meaningful progress within a specific short time frame, the county has to reopen this project to new proposals. We need to allow other developers to transform this space into the vibrant, affordable housing that we've been promised. It's time to turn our optimism for this parcel into reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes, Chairman. Ellie, please unmute your mic and give your comments.
Good morning, still morning. Ellie Waller for the record. No disrespect to Mr. Mader. It's really nice to meet you. I want to commend you on your projects in Carson City, but I have to be on time to meetings as a member of the public. I don't get a second chance. I hope in the future your planning forward will have you on time. Kings Beach deserves a project. I'm hoping that history doesn't repeat itself with the BBLLC debacle that we all remember. Stated in this staff report is contingent on buyer receipt of all project approvals needed to develop the mixed-use 3.5 Kings Beach Center. I'm looking for clarification. All could be recommended changes by the Placer County Staff, Planning Commission, and Board of Supervisors. We go through a robust process of environmental and some changes, so I'm not sure what all could entitle the developer. Again, it's much appreciated that you're on site there. We're hoping all future meetings on the Eastern Gateway, as well as the Kings Beach Center, that involve the most public affected are up in the Tahoe Basin. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Is there anyone else?
Andrew, please unmute your mic and give your comments.
Hello, everyone. Andrew Ryan, Kings Beach here again. Making a similar comment in the vein here that I asked the board to look closely on this and see how we can actually deliver housing here in Kings Beach in a sooner timeline. The landscape has changed since 2019, and the original developer, Craig Clark, was unilaterally selected by Placer County staff and the Board of Supervisors without community input. Mr. Mader is the second unilaterally selected developer, and that's not a knock on Phil. I'm just making the point that when the process does not involve community engagement, it becomes a house of cards, and it's so much harder to deliver projects in meaningful timelines. And it is difficult up here, but we do deliver projects up here in reasonable timelines when they have a good process. The landscape has changed since 2019. We have a Cal Neva project that is reemerging. We have Boulder Bay. Both those projects need affordable housing. The Boulder Bay project already has its approvals. Cal Neva is essentially existing already. So they don't have to tie housing to a discretionary approval like Kings Barn does with the KB Center. We can actually move housing forward in a matter of months and not years. Again, I would just say that the members of the Board of Supervisors that were not here for these original selections really, it was a missed opportunity and process on how to set this project up for a win. And I would ask that you not extend the contract today so that we can get a meaningful project here and get moving on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Chairman, no further comments.
There's no more further comments. We'll close public comment and bring it back to the successor agency board for action.
Mr. Chair, may I just make a comment and
Sure.
inquiry as well? And I appreciate the input from residents about the desire to have engagement on the process. And so I think that's, since the applicant is here, just something I think is extremely important is hearing from the community and making sure they have an opportunity to participate in the process, which we discussed on the last item. And with that, I hate to see this lot continue to stay empty and empty and empty. And the fact that we're in the place of starting to move forward again and continue the process, I think is a very good thing because we very much need affordable housing. So with that, I'm happy to move approval of the item.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion by Supervisor Gore, second by Supervisor Landon. All those in, wait, this is a roll call. No, it's not a roll call. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Thank you. The item is moved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, now we have to adjourn as a successor agency and reconvene as the Board of Supervisors. Thank you, County Council. So now we're at our 10:25 timed item, Community Development Resource Agency. This is Riolo Vineyard specific plan, Friswold rezoned, vesting tentative subdivision map. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Chairman Holmes, members of the board. Nick Trefero, Senior Planner with the Planning Services Division, here to present the Friswold subdivision project, which is under the Riolo Vineyard specific plan. Your board is being asked to approve a rezone tentative subdivision map and development agreement for the project. The Planning Commission recommended approval of these entitlements at their hearing on October 12, 2023. So the Riolo Vineyard specific plan area is located in the southwestern portion of Placer County, within the Dry Creek West Placer Community Plan Area. This map shows the Friswold property in relation to the specific plan and Dry Creek Community Plan Area. As you can see, the specific plan area is located north of PFE Road between Watt Avenue and Willerga Road, and Dry Creek forms the northern boundary. Just as a background, the specific plan was approved in 2009 and subsequently amended in 2015 to address land use and zoning modifications. The specific plan covers 525 acres and the ultimate development of 933 residential units over various phases. Includes low density, medium density residential, estate residential, and rural residential lots. The plan also includes open space, recreational, agricultural, and commercial uses. Since 2009, 3 subdivisions have been approved and are under construction. Mariposa, which is phase 1, included construction of 107 residential lots. Glen Willow, which is phase 2, will have 177 residential lots. It is near completion with about 80% construction occupancy. Mason Trails, which is phase Y, will have 170 residential lots and is about halfway through construction. And Silver Sage, which is phase 3, will include 280 residential lots and it's currently in improvement plan review. And note that Friswold, the project being presented today, is phase Z. Also just want to note that this map and the previous map shown do not actually reflect exact tentative map boundaries, but more illustrate the general Friswold project area. So in 2015, the specific plan approval included a rezone of the 6 of the 14 parcels from their underlying zoning designations to SPL RBSP, which is the Riolo Vineyard specific plan. All 6 were under one ownership, which was Homes by Town, and was a participating owner at the time. At the time, the 8 remaining parcels, including the Friswold property, were under different ownership and retained their existing zoning. However, despite that, the approved specific plan includes specific land use designations for those parcels, such as medium density residential, as is the case for the Friswold project. So given that, the applicant's requesting a rezone from the existing zoning in order to bring the parcel into conformance with the specific plan. So the current zoning, it's split zoned, is neighborhood commercial combining use permit and design scenic corridor for the western portion of the site. And for the eastern portion, it is zoned residential single family, combining agriculture, combining a minimum building site of 20,000 square feet, development reserve, combining planned residential development with 2 residences per acre maximum. So the proposal is to change over to SPL RBSP, again, Riolo Vineyard specific plan. So here's the tentative map, which shows a property encompassing approximately 16.4 acres. A total of 118 medium density residential lots are proposed for the subdivision, and 2 landscape lots are proposed as well. On-site amenities include a Class 1 trail within the landscape lots along PFE Road and direct access to Silver Sage Parks in the subdivision to the north. Access to the subdivision, there's actually 2 points off of PFE Road, one being L Street, which goes right up the middle of the subdivision, and then G Street, which would be off of Silver Sage subdivision over to the east. This slide just shows the access to the 2 parks to the Silver Sage subdivision to the north. So for access to Park 1, the project has been conditioned to require construction of a temporary 20-foot access road to provide access to the path constructed within the Park 1, unless the roadway has been previously constructed by the Silver Sage subdivision. The path inside the park will ultimately connect to the Class 1 trail leading up to Dry Creek. This slide also shows access to the larger Park 2 in the Silver Sage subdivision as well. This map just shows another view of the Class 1 trail that runs from the west side of the Park 1 and ultimately connects to the trail along Dry Creek. Also, Class 1 trail along PFE road frontage is shown as well. So for the project, the development agreement was prepared as required by the specific plan.
includes a number of provisions, the first being that it is a 20-year term for the development agreement. There's also a number of fees the developer is required to pay, including a sewer system annexation fee, county public facilities fee, Highway 9970 and Riego Road interchange fee, Riolo Vineyard's specific plan fee, and several other fees, as you can see listed on this slide. To meet their 10% affordable housing requirement as required by the specific plan, the applicant will make a payment of $471,616 in 4 installments to the county's Affordable Housing Trust Fund to fund construction of 4 very low-income units. The applicant will need to construct 5 accessory dwelling units to meet the low-income requirement, and then the applicant will need to construct 3 ADUs or purchase ADU housing credits from the Mason Trails subdivision to meet the moderate income requirement. Other provisions include the requirement for the applicant to construct the PFE Road and Watt Avenue intersection improvements if they are not already completed by the Silver Sage subdivision. And as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, unless previously constructed by Silver Sage, they will be required to construct a temporary access road to the Silver Sage Park 1. For the specific plan, in terms of CEQA compliance, a final EIR was certified in 2009, and 2 subsequent addenda were adopted. An environmental checklist was prepared by Rainey Planning to evaluate the project for any changed conditions. This can be found as an attachment to your staff reports. Based on the checklist that was completed, staff concluded that the project would not create any new or significant impacts, and the project is considered consistent with the specific plan. The Friswold project is considered exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15182 and subject to streamlined review pursuant to Section 15183 on the basis that it is consistent with the previously adopted final EIR. Therefore, no further environmental review is required. In terms of public outreach, the project was presented to the West Placer MAC as an informational item on November 17, 2021, and then heard as an action item on May 18, 2022. At that meeting, the MAC voted 4-0 with 1 member absent to approve a motion recommending the board approve the entitlement package. The project went to the Planning Commission hearing on October 12th, and at that meeting, 2 comments were raised. The first being from Commissioner DiMattei, asking if the property could instead be developed with larger residential agricultural lots. Staff indicated that the property is split zoned with commercial and residential zoning and was already planned for medium density residential development as proposed and improved in this specific plan. A second comment raised was by Commissioner Johnson, who indicated there's a need for adjacent jurisdictions to construct road improvements to meet traffic generated by the project. Staff responded indicating that the Watt Avenue PFE Road intersection improvement plans are currently being reviewed by both Sacramento and Placer counties. Also, the DA requires payment of a development impact fee to provide funding to Sutter County for the Highway 9970 and Riego Road interchange improvements, as mentioned earlier. And that fee is $398 per unit. So at the meeting, the Planning Commission voted 5-1, with 1 member being absent to recommend approval. So with that, staff forwards the Planning Commission's October 12, 2023 recommendation to the Board of Supervisors for approval of the following based on the findings contained in the staff report. So the first action is to determine that the proposed project consisting of the rezone development agreement investing 10 of the subdivision map is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15182 and is subject to streamlined review pursuant to Section 15183 on the basis that is consistent with the previously adopted Riolo Vineyard specific plan, final EIR, the 2012 addendum to the final EIR, the 2015 addendum to the final EIR, and the 2015 Mitigation Monitoring Reporting Program, collectively known as the final EIR. The second action is to adopt the ordinance to rezone the Friswold project site as shown in attachment B to the staff report. The third action adopt an ordinance approving the development agreement by and between the County Placer and Riolo 386 LLC relative to Riolo Vineyard Specific Plan, Griswold subdivision. And last, the fourth action, approve the Griswold vesting tentative subdivision map subject to conditions of approval. With that, available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Nick.
Sure.
Any comments, questions from board members? Supervisor Gore.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the update.
Sure.
Couple questions. Well, the first one is, so the street names, J Street and K Street, those are filler names, correct?
That's correct, right, yes.
I just don't think we need
Yeah.
J Street and K Street in sort of our suburban area. We are not downtown Sacramento.
Right.
All right. My other question about the affordable housing requirements, those are a result of the development agreement that has previously been signed by the Riolo specific plan developers, correct?
It has been agreed to as part of this project moving forward. So it was a new development agreement that came forward with this project.
Okay, so the intent is to build some on site and then some to go to Housing Trust Placer to build more
Exactly right.
affordable housing that's very low.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Supervisor Gustafson.
I'm going to follow up, and it may take some other staff to clarify this. So on the affordable housing, obviously from the time that we developed a lot of these plans to what we're facing today in the state and what we just had our hearing on last week is pretty dramatically changed. With this 10% requirement, which, you know, obviously we need to honor because this is what was agreed to, what would, and I know this is hypothetical, but what would the RENA numbers look like that we would be required to build for 118 units? Is there anybody here looking at the SACOG formula for how they distributed that? Is that too challenging to answer today? I'm seeing a lot of puzzled looks.
I can take a start at that, and I don't know that we can say what it would look like for the RENA numbers, but our specific plan does require a 10% affordable
Right,
housing.
I got that they're meeting that, but that was done at a time in 2009 and then reaffirmed in 2015, and now we have the state changing things, and I just want to keep track of this as we move forward, so that when we look at development agreements, when we have reopeners, we're really helping achieve those housing numbers with the new development simultaneously, if and where we can. And I just don't know if the requirement now, if we took, say, for 118 units, what would the state say we should be having? I don't have a context for that, because the way the RENA numbers are distributed, it's based on growth in the region.
Right.
And
So it's not on specific areas.
Right.
And that's the challenge. And then you
Yeah.
get back to like, how affordable is it to build affordable housing, right? And so in the past conversations
Right.
I've had with developers is they can't make a 10% pencil out more if it's under 100 units, right?
Right.
And so if you even said, okay, I want you to do 20%, right, on what, 100 units, it makes it really hard to pencil out. And I think that we're going to have some other conversations about how we do affordable housing, not just forcing our developers who are building housing to build housing.
And I don't disagree, but I think understanding what that deficit is created so that we're tracking it more project by project is what we're hearing. What we heard last week was, okay, we're going to rezone all these properties in North Auburn to make up for growth that's happening in the county in a different area. And so maybe it is the developers dedicating property versus building. But I'd like to know the deficits as we're moving forward and if 10% is the right number that we should be using, or if we should be bumping that up in future agreements. Obviously, this is a long-standing project, and I don't mean to raise that issue, but I think we need to be cognizant of it every time we're looking at these.
Yeah, this is Crystal Jacobson, Assistant Director of CEDRA, currently serving as Acting Director. And this is not something that we can do through the SACOG arena now, but it is a policy call moving forward with something we can explore in the general plan update that we're just kicking off. So this proposal here and the recommendation before you today is consistent with our current policy, right?
Right, our current
but
policy,
it's
yeah.
definitely something that can be explored moving forward, whether or not.
And I don't mean to put the burden on any particular issue, but we're reaping the benefits potentially of new development and jobs and housing. And so how do we use those resources to address these issues more effectively? So I think we just need to be aware of it. So that was, sorry for the long-winded discussion, but I want us to continue to think about that. The general plan's going to take us 2 to 3 years, right? And in the 4 years.
4 years.
So in the meantime, what are we doing and how are we addressing that? And, you know, this element, I think we just need to be aware of how SACOG distributes those requirements and then what we need to be banking for, whether it's requiring more ADUs or helping acquire more ADUs or many of the other solutions. But anyway, sorry.
That's okay.
It was a broader discussion than this project, and I certainly understand the commitments that have been made and relied on to get us to this point. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any other comments or questions from board members? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wish to address the board on this item? Seeing none, is there anyone online?
Yes, Chairman. Mr. Garabedian, please unmute your mic and give your comments.
Morning, Michael.
Thank you. Good morning. Mike Garabedian, Foster County Tomorrow, and Pacific to American Divide. There were 4 other parts, I think, of this plan mentioned. One with 107 units, another one 177 units, another 170 units, and one 280 units. I wonder if it could be explained how many low and moderate income houses were part of each of those developments, and if it could be explained the process of holding funds to go for this housing through the other, I guess, future through this other agency or whatever the money's going to. What is the justification for postponing it, and how long that would be? Yeah, I think there are some good issues here raised by the board now. Be very helpful to understand where we're going on this, because to what extent, if at all, this project you're approving now will contribute to requesting having other communities, especially rural communities, have this kind of housing because it's not going into this one. So that's my general and specific, those are my general and specific questions to take this discussion a bit further. Thank you.
Any other online?
No.
Already. Nick, could you go back to that slide that showed the amount of portable? I think there was. Oops, just pass it.
Oops. Okay.
There it is, yeah. So I think that explains Mr. Garabedian's.
So for Friswold, it would be 12 affordable units, either through construction or through funding. I know he was referring to the previous project. So for Mason Trails, there was 17 affordable units that had to be either constructed or through funding. That project had a similar approach where there was funding obligations to the housing fund. For Glen Willow and Silver subdivisions, there was a fund that's set aside for Acres of Hope for $575,000. That's for transitional housing in the Bowman area. And I believe Mariposa was under that same funding situation.
So the very low income units, the 4 units with the $471,000 payment, would go to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and locate those facilities into an area more conducive to low income housing. Is that right?
Correct, right.
That's what I- All right. Okay, any other questions? I see none. Seeing no more public comment, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
I will move approval.
All right.
And I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Landon, second by Supervisor Gore. All those in favor, oh, I gotta conduct a public hearing. This is a public hearing. Is anyone from the public wish to address this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And, all those in favor, please move approval.
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. All righty, thank you very much. The item is moved. And that concludes, I think, our agenda items on this board meeting for, oh, yeah, well, not, yeah, sorry. We will now go into closed session, and county council will lead us out.
The board will now adjourn to closed session to consider one item of labor negotiations.
All right. Okay. The board has just returned from closed session. County council will report out.
The board met in closed session to consider one item of labor negotiations related to the DDAA. The board heard a report. No action requested or taken. This concludes the report out of closed session.
And this concludes the meeting of December 5th, 2023. We are adjourned.